What if I told you that before you finished your morning coffee today, you already committed a federal crime? Not a parking ticket. Not a state violation. A federal crime. The kind that technically carries jail time. You didn't mean to. You had no idea. And that is exactly the point. Legal scholars now estimate that the average American commits between 3 and 5 federal crimes every single day, without ever knowing it. Here are 10 of the most shocking ones. In 2013, the American Bar Association attempted to count every single federal crime on the books. They gave up. Their best estimate, between 4,500 and 5,000 individual criminal statutes, spread across 27,000 pages of federal law. Civil liberties attorney Harvey Silverglate argued in his landmark book 3 Felonies a Day that the average American professional routinely engages in conduct that federal prosecutors could theoretically charge as a federal felony, depending entirely on how they choose to interpret the law. And here is what makes that dangerous. Federal prosecutors have enormous discretionary power in who they choose to charge. These laws sit on the books like loaded weapons. Rarely fired at ordinary people. But always loaded. Always ready. The question of who gets charged is not always a question of what you did. Sometimes it is entirely a question of who prosecutors decide to go after. Keep that in mind as we go through this list. Red Circle Crime Number 1, sharing your streaming password. Tens of millions of Americans share their streaming passwords every single day without a second thought. For years, federal prosecutors argued this technically violated the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, a federal hacking law, by accessing a computer system beyond authorized use. The debate was real. The legal threat was real. In 2021, the Supreme Court narrowed this interpretation, but the underlying law has never been updated to formally exclude password sharing. The statute that federal prosecutors were prepared to use against you for sharing your Netflix login is still sitting on the books right now. Unchanged. That alone should tell you everything about how broadly written federal criminal law really is. Red Circle Crime Number 2, using a fake name online. In 2009, the U.S. government prosecuted a Missouri woman named Lori Drew under a federal hacking statute. For creating a fake MySpace profile. Not for hacking a server. Not for stealing data. For using a fake name on a social media platform. The conviction was eventually overturned. But here is what nobody talks about. The prosecution happened. The federal government looked at an ordinary woman doing something millions of people do every single day. And found a federal criminal statute broad enough to charge her with. The law they used is still on the books. Still broadly written. Still available to any prosecutor who decides to use it. Red Circle Crime Number 3, collecting rainwater. Rain falls on your property. You collect it in a barrel to water your garden. In multiple U.S. states. That is illegal. Colorado, Utah, and several other western states have historically restricted or outright banned residential rainwater collection. Based on century-old water rights doctrines that treat precipitation as a public resource before it even hits the ground. Many of these laws have been relaxed in recent years. But the underlying legal principle is completely real and still enforced right now. The rain that falls on your own roof. In certain states. Does not legally belong to you. The government claimed it before it ever touched your property. Think about that. Crime number 4, sharing a meme. Almost every popular meme uses images, film stills, or photographs that belong to someone else. Under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, a federal law, reproducing and distributing copyrighted material without permission is a federal violation. For ordinary individuals casually sharing memes, this is typically a civil matter. But here is where it gets serious. Civil copyright damages can reach up to $150,000 per work for willful infringement. And criminal penalties apply in cases of willful infringement for commercial advantage or financial gain. For anyone building a monetized YouTube channel, a podcast, a social media brand. The moment copyrighted material appears in content that generates revenue, the exposure becomes real. The law is that broad. The penalties are that serious. And the line between casual sharing and criminal territory is thinner than most people ever realize. Red circle crime number 5, lying to a federal employee. This is the most dangerous item on this entire list. And almost nobody knows about it. Under 18 U.S. Code Section 1001, it is a federal crime to knowingly and willfully make a false statement to any federal government employee. Not under oath. Not during a formal investigation. Any knowing and willful misstatement. To any federal employee. At any time. TSA agents. Park rangers. Census workers. Postal inspectors. Martha Stewart was not convicted of insider trading. She was convicted of making false statements and obstruction. Not convicted of the underlying trade. Convicted of what she said in a conversation about it. This law is real. It is enforced. And the practical advice from defense attorneys is unanimous. If a federal employee ever asks you a question and you are not completely certain of your answer, say nothing. You have that right. Use it. Crime number 6, buying certain imported foods. Haggis made with sheep lung. Banned in America. Certain unpasteurized European cheeses. Banned. Kinder Surprise eggs, those chocolate eggs with toys inside that children eat across Europe every single day. Banned under the Federal Food, Drug and Cosmetic Act. For ordinary consumers, these are typically custom seizure matters rather than criminal prosecutions. But here is what most Americans have never heard of. The FDA maintains a public database called the Import Alert List. It covers thousands of food products that cannot legally enter the United States. Every year millions of people bring items home from international travel, with absolutely no idea they are touching a federal regulatory violation. The list is public record. The link is in the description below. Check it before your next international trip. Red circle crime number 7, letting someone use your Wi-Fi. Law enforcement has shown up at the wrong address in multiple documented cases. Because criminal activity was traced to an IP address belonging to someone whose Wi-Fi was being used without their knowledge. Innocent account holders are generally protected from criminal liability. But here is what those innocent people actually experienced. Federal investigators at their front door. Equipment seized from their home. Interrogations. Months of legal uncertainty. All while being completely innocent. The charges did not stick. But the process happened anyway. And in the American legal system, sometimes the process is the punishment. Securing your home network is not just good tech hygiene. It is protecting yourself from a nightmare you did absolutely nothing to deserve. Crime number 8, defacing currency. Under 18 U.S. Code Section 331. Fraudulently altering U.S. currency is a federal crime. Those penny-pressing souvenir machines at theme parks? Writing your name on a dollar bill? Technically living in a legal gray zone. These are not prosecuted because they clearly lack fraudulent intent. But here is the point. The statute has never been updated to formally exclude them. The only thing standing between a souvenir penny machine and a theoretical federal prosecution is prosecutorial discretion. The same prosecutorial discretion we have been talking about this entire video. Outdated laws. Never cleaned up. Sitting quietly on the federal books. Technically applicable to millions of Americans every single day. That is overcriminalization. That is the system. Red circle crime number 9, workplace regulations. OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, has over 4,500 individual workplace standards. Criminal penalties exist for willful violations. Criminal charges typically target employers and supervisors rather than individual employees. But here is what is completely real. Most small business owners have never read the OSHA standards that apply directly to their workplace. Many are not even aware they exist. And the gap between what federal workplace law requires and what the average employer actually knows is enormous. Not knowing is not a legal defense. If you run a business, even a small one, the criminal provisions of federal workplace law deserve your serious attention before you need them. Red Circle Crime Number 10, Uncertified Electronics. The FCC requires all electronic devices that emit radio frequencies to be certified before they can legally be sold or imported into the United States. Millions of cheap imported smart plugs, LED controllers, Bluetooth speakers, and security cameras flooding online marketplaces have never received FCC certification. Enforcement here targets manufacturers and importers rather than individual consumers. But here is what is documented and real. Uncertified devices have caused interference with emergency communications and aviation signals. Real safety incidents. Real documented harm. And the companies behind these products are operating in clear violation of federal communications law at massive scale through platforms that look completely legitimate. Every single day, the consumer risk is low. The systemic deception is enormous. And the federal law being violated to sell you these products is sitting right there on the books. So what is this video actually saying? It is not saying federal agents are coming for your souvenir penny or your Netflix password. What it is saying, and what legal scholars from the ACLU to the Heritage Foundation agree on, is this. The federal criminal code has become so enormous, so vague, so broadly written, that the boundary between ordinary behavior and federal criminal territory has become genuinely unclear. And unclear boundaries do not protect citizens. They protect power. When statutes are broad enough to theoretically reach almost anyone, the question of who gets charged stops being about what you did, and starts being about who decides to come after you. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is the documented reality of how federal prosecutorial discretion works in America today. The founders built this legal system on a simple principle. Citizens should clearly know what the law says, so they can live their lives accordingly. The modern federal criminal code has made that principle nearly impossible. And the first step toward changing that is knowing it exists. Which one of these hit hardest? Drop the number in the comments right now. I read and reply to every single one. And if this changed how you see the relationship between ordinary Americans and federal power, share it. Because most people walking around right now have no idea how many invisible legal lines surround their daily life. This is GOVTFILESUSA. We open the files they never wanted you to read. Subscribe, new file opened every day. Tomorrow. The US government is sitting on billions of dollars that belongs to ordinary Americans right now. I am going to show you exactly how to claim yours. Stay informed. They are counting on you not knowing.